presents The Fly, 1958. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum podcast. I'm Ryne from Coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined by my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
Pretty good. We've had some absence on the show. We didn't even get to finish our Christmas episodes for the Festivus series.
No, we did not.
Unfortunately, I wasn't available. I had twins. So during that time frame, my wife was delivering, and we were figuring all of that out. So it's been a busy couple of weeks, 3 weeks, I think, since we've been podcasting. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, we tried to get to see Black Christmas, except for the fact that by the time we were able to go see the film at our local theater, it was only at a 9:45 showing any day. Every day was, and not just like a weekday or something like that. Every day was a 9:45 showing. So there just wasn't really a chance for us to go see Black Christmas. I also tried to pirate it, but all they had were handheld camera footage. So
it'll be out on Blu-ray.
It'll come out, and then we'll do it at some point. So apologies to everyone listening who was expecting a Black Christmas episode or us to finish the Festivus series. We only got to 3 episodes this year, but you know what? It is what it is. We're going to move on from Festivus, obviously. We're not going to try to finish that up now that we're into January. We're also going to do maybe like a New Year's special, and we didn't get a chance to do that either. So
we're going to do New Year's Evil again.
No, we're not doing it now, but I said we could do Trading Places or something like that, which is sort of a Christmas and New Year's movie. We didn't get a chance to do that, but you know what? That's for another year. We'll save it.
Put it in the back pocket.
Yeah. And then I was sick for a little while too. So I wasn't in my right voice to do a podcast. So yeah, it's been a crazy few weeks, past month. But we're back and, hoping to get into 2020 with a bang. We weren't sure what to do for this episode, actually, since we kind of got caught off guard and we didn't get a chance to finish anything else or discuss what we were going to do.
Honestly, I wasn't expecting us to do another episode maybe until February.
Yeah, you thought I was going to be down and out for that long? Nah, I'm back. It's fine.
Screw the kids.
I've got time. We definitely have time, and you know what? I'm just I'm just doing the things that they normally did in the 60s and 70s.
Listen,
the woman has the kids. What do I got to do?
Listen, just thank New York State that you now get a lot bigger parental leave.
Yeah, without pay, really, but it is what it is.
I mean, at least you're getting it.
Yeah, no, it is what it is.
2 years you wouldn't get anything.
It's great. I don't even know what day it is today. I have no idea. I had no idea what day it is. I get up at 10 o'clock now because you're up at all hours of the night. It's like all my time is shifted. I don't really know what day it is. But I know it's podcast day. And like I said, we weren't sure what we were going to do for this episode. We didn't really have a plan. And I mentioned, you know what? Scream Factory had just released the Fly collection on Blu-ray, and I have it. So why not do Cronenberg's The Fly? And then Martin kindly pointed out to me that we had already done it. Totally forgot. We did it, way back, actually.
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago we did it when we did the Jeff Goldblum month.
I was telling you, I was thinking about being like an asshole and be like, yeah, let's do it. And then get halfway through the episode and be like, it's Groundhog's Day, surprise.
I completely forgot. I didn't even remember that we did it at all. So I was like, let's do Cronenberg's The Fly. And then when that was a bust, I was like, well, maybe we should just do the regular
Fly. Well, you said The Fly, and I was like, yeah, right, the OG one. You're like, I don't know, we can do that one, Cronenberg's.
Yeah. Yeah, my intention was to do Cronenberg's, and then, yeah, we already did it. So, instead, we decided we were going to do the original Fly, the Fly from 1958 with Vincent Price.
Because we loved nothing more than doing originals and then the remake.
That's true. We do that a lot.
Very strong motif on the show.
Yeah. We've already done a Vincent Price original.
Yes.
House on Haunted Hill.
In the remake.
And the remake.
For remake of Weed.
So, yeah, it was perfect. Let's just do the original Fly. Something interesting. And actually, we haven't really done a older classic movie in a while. So, it was perfect timing. Start 2020 off with a classic film. And also, I said, you know what? I've got some anecdotes to throw out there for this episode. I have stuff that I can talk about without even touching on the movie. And sometimes, like, you get a movie where you've never seen it before. So there's just no anecdotes. You don't have anything to go with. You can't say, like, watch this, 20 years ago or whatever. This one, I can say. I watched this one about 20 years ago. I was at my grandmother's house. I was spending the night. And you know how grandmothers are. They let you stay up late. Got to stay up late. I was watching AMC. And AMC was, at that time, I think, playing... They were either playing classic horror movies on Friday nights or they were playing just horror movies on Friday nights on their like Fear Friday block. And so I was I stayed up and I was watching that block and the original Fly was on. So I remember it pretty distinctly because I distinctly remember the ending of the film, the film or the part where you see our scientist who his head is on a fly's body being eaten by a spider. And that still stands out to me as being like one of those moments that I just remember from the film. I don't know that I was scared of it per se, but I just remember thinking like, wow, that's weird. That's a cool image of a man's head on a fly's body being devoured by a spider, and no one really everybody's like nonplussed about it. They're like, that spider's going to eat that guy. I guess we should do something, but shocked more than anything. So that is my story of The Fly. I had seen it before one time, and that's really the only time that I've ever seen it. And like I said, when we were starting this film, I guess I didn't realize that the original Fly was in color.
I'm thinking about it too. I was like, I don't know. I kind of do remember it being in black and white.
I almost remember watching this film in black and white. I don't know if it was ever released in black and white, but
I think it might just be because like when you think Vincent Price films, you think of,
I guess so. I have like this vision in my head though of that ending taking place in black and white.
Well, the same thing too, because it's been probably like 20 years since I've seen it too. I've only seen it once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely seen Cronenberg's Fly a lot more. Like I have a distinct, like this film says it's starring Vincent Price.
Yeah.
It's not.
Not really.
No, he's like a supporting character.
Yeah. I always and actually remembering before watching this again, thinking back on it, I feel like I misremembered that Vincent Price was like the scientist guy.
Yeah,
which doesn't make sense to me now because I'm thinking, well, Vincent Price is the one that sees the fly at the end of the film, so that should have stood out to me. But still, I feel like I misremembered Vincent Price being the main scientist in this film. So it's weird how that happens, and you misremember things. I
agree. Because you think like, oh, yes.
Yeah. Like, I still, though, I have like this very vivid picture of that last scene taking place in black and white. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe sometimes it was in black and white. This version, obviously,
maybe your grandma just had a black and white TV.
Yeah, right. This version, the Scream Factory has released, which is actually a 20th Century Fox picture, anyway, that they had released previously. It's in color, done by Deluxe. And Deluxe.
Which, by the way, as I've said a billion times on this podcast, when reviewing older films, I love when they bring up, like, brought in to you by Technicolor or, CinemaScope.
This one is Deluxe, and I don't know that I've seen that specific company of color work before. That doesn't really ring a bell.
Well, that's like the fun part, seeing like when it's not shot in Technicolor, like when like because they like Technicolor at that point practically had a monopoly on like color and film.
Yeah,
but you'd see like other technologies come out and stuff to like
Yeah, you'd see a little bit, mostly Technicolor. This one actually, the color though, you can tell that it's not Technicolor. It doesn't have the vibrancy. It has more like of a reddish pink hue throughout. Rather than the vibrancy of the Technicolor color that you would
where everything's
associate
just,
with. Yeah. Excuse me, I still have somewhat of a cough here, so might be hacking on the show.
It's all right. I've been battling a sore throat, and I can't tell if it's from either being sick or blowing my lungs out, watching the Bills playoff game, or a mixture of both.
It's going around. That's for sure. The Fly, interesting that we misremember it. Certainly a classic in a lot of sense. The other thing is that it really, besides the idea behind the film, it doesn't have that much in common with Cronenberg's The Fly.
No.
Cronenberg takes it in a very different direction in terms of not only like the idea of like the science behind it, but also the setup of the film, which has a different plot progression than this Fly. This Fly, as we'll talk about, has more of the older-fashioned method of start the film at the end and then have a character tell the story of what happened
Kind of like it's like if you weren't going into it thinking it was a science fiction film, you'd kind of think it was like a pulp noir film.
Yeah, it does have that.
Like with the way like the storytelling is of like it seems like a murder mystery, you know.
Yeah.
Or if we ventured down a little south into Italy, someone just all of a sudden a man with a straight razor shows up.
Yeah, this one definitely has that technique down where it's like have a character tell the story to give the viewer the rest of it, and it even has the sort of like dreamlike whatever. There's like waveforms that it plays when you're going back in time to represent the story that the character is telling. So it has that going for it, which is a sort of a different plot point from Cronenberg's The Fly, but somewhat common for films of this time frame to go back in time like that. All right, let's take a break from the film itself to quickly talk about the beer that we've got on the show today.
We finally got something new.
We've got something new, and it was meant to be for the Christmas show. But since we're not doing any more Christmas shows, I'm not going to save it for next year. That's just ridiculous. So we might as well do it now. I spent like $15 on a bottle, so I'm not going to waste it or not do it on the show. But what we have today is Rogue's 2019 Santa's Private Reserve, which is a beer that they do every year for Christmas time, and they always change out the style of the beer that they do for this Private Reserve. I know that at one year it was like an IPA, which I remember because I think it probably was 2 or 3 years ago now. This year, which I found was really interesting, they did a dark ale brewed with candy cap mushrooms. I've never had a mushroom beer before. Don't think they're that common, to be honest with you.
Because who sits down and goes, hey, it'll go great with this beer? Fungus.
Yeah.
Mushrooms.
And the only time I can really see them using mushrooms is in a darker style beer, like a stout, porter, something like that, where you can mask the meatier flavor of a mushroom with other elements. So I found that interesting. I'm not a fan of mushrooms. I'll say that right now. I don't really like eating mushrooms. They're not my thing. One of the things that I don't like about them is the feel of them. Yeah, the mouth feel.
It's the same thing for me. It's not really a taste thing for me. It's a texture.
It's a texture. Yeah, it feels very spongy, and I don't really like that. It's just not something that's ever really appealed to me. I can eat them on like pizza. It's fine to get lost.
I would say those mushrooms don't even count that.
Yeah, they just kind of get lost on the pizza.
Because they're just like so rubbery. Like,
yeah, whatever.
Like, flubber on your pizza.
But like an actual raw mushroom on my salad, fuck no. Don't put those on there.
Or like how about get a steak and you're like, I want slathered.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Slathered in onions and they slather in mushrooms.
Absolutely not. No.
See, that's like one instance. As you know, I am never like correct if like an order. Like if I get my order wrong.
Yep.
I don't ever correct it. That would be like one of the very few instances if I ordered a steak and I wanted like and they were like, oh, we can do like onions or mushrooms on it. I'd be like, yeah, well, give me the onions. And if they came out with the mushrooms, I'd be like, throw that away.
Yep.
Get that.
I agree. I wouldn't take it either. So this one, and I'll be honest with you too, I don't even know what a candy cap mushroom is. I've never really encountered that in the wild.
Where they're indigenous to?
I have no idea.
I don't remember picking them in Red Dead Redemption 2.
I don't know. So Rogue is really going out of the way here to try something different, and which I don't mind because, if you're going to do a different style of beer for the Santa's Private Reserve every year, you want to be a little experimental with it.
Would you have taken this or another we're half-ass trying NIPA IPA for the winter season?
I would rather them do something like this where they're really going outside the box rather than saying we tweaked the hop balance in this in our other NIPA and we're here's this one. It's just a little bit different. So I'd rather have this for sure. This one is on the expensive side. It's like $11.99 a bottle. Then you got like sales tax and bottle tax and shit like that.
22 ounce, yeah.
Yeah, for 22 ounces. So it's a pretty expensive beer. But I was interested.
Not as much expensive as the Goose Island from last time.
No, not as expensive as that, but certainly up there. So this beer is I guess the standout feature is that it's a dark ale, and we've had dark ales and strong ales on the show before. We've had a strong ale from Brown's Brewing, which is a local brewery in Troy, that we tried And that was like our first experience with a strong ale. And the thing that we found out was that we don't really like strong ales that much. Strong ales are...
which we should have known better, because our one friend, Hody, which is... who usually procures these odd trinkets of beverages.
Yeah.
He's the idiot asshole who's like, I love Imperial Stouts.
Right, yeah, he likes to go to the extreme of the stout age.
Or, same thing like, oh, I love dried fruits in my beer.
Yeah.
He's 30 years old, but he still likes to go down the fountain and put every single flavor in and mix it, make his own concoction.
He's almost 31 now, actually, which is just sad. This is fucking 31 already. In this case, so it's a dark ale. It's not a strong ale. It's a dark ale, which means that it's sort of it's got a molassesy flavor to it. It's fairly malty. It's got a high alcohol content at, I think it's like 8.1 in this one. And then the IBUs are fairly low at 20. So not a lot of hops in this one. What you mainly get is a malty, sweet, molassesy, sort of mapley flavor to it that, I guess the maple flavor comes particularly from the candy cap mushrooms, which they say is sort of like the flavor that those candy cap mushrooms are supposed to give off is like a mapley flavor to them. I guess that's part of the flavor profile of a mushroom, of that candy cap mushroom.
That just seems like the worst thing in the world.
Just
like the idea of sitting
maple.
down, eating a chewy mushroom, mapley.
You know what I want to do? I want to put that on my pancakes.
Ugh.
Yeah. I guess I would like to just try a little piece of a candy cap mushroom and see if that's really how it tastes. Is it just taste like a maple mushroom? I don't know. In this case, that's what you get though. You don't really get a mushroom flavor. Like there's nothing that stands out and you're like, ooh, mushrooms. I wouldn't say that that's like part of the flavor profile.
And I will say too, with the bottle, they prominently have Santa riding a shit ton of these giant mushrooms.
It's like a psychedelic.
Like you're going to a fucking Allman Brothers concert.
Yeah.
I would say not a smart choice for advertising, because if I were to look at that and I would just take a very quick look at it, oh fuck that, no mushrooms, oh no,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll say that I like this. I think it's fine. I wouldn't go out of my way to get this again. I wouldn't I don't know. It's not anything that I would be interested in getting at a bar or on draft or anything like that. I'm glad I tried it. It's just not a flavor that appeals to me enough where I would want to, go out of my way and get it again or spend the money on getting it since it's fairly expensive. Again, with the dark ale, you tend, like a strong ale, you sort of get some of those raisiny dried fruit flavors to it as well, which are not my favorite. I don't love dried fruit, at least in my beer. Craisins, sure, put them in there. But raisins and other dried fruit like prunes and stuff like that, not a huge fan. One thing that the bottle does mention, though, is that you should pair Santa's Private Reserve 2019 with bacon-wrapped dates. Bacon-wrapped dates.
It just sounds awesome.
Have you ever had a bacon-wrapped date?
I've never had a date before in my life because I just don't.
No. I've never had one either, and I don't know that I've ever had the opportunity to have a bacon-wrapped date. I don't know. You know what? The only time you're going to get that is when you go to Nakatomi Plaza for the Christmas party. They got bacon-wrapped dates there.
What a bougie, just treat that sound. How would you like a bacon-wrapped date?
Well, it's kind of funny because they list that as the bougie treat, and then they're like, oh yeah, also fried chicken and waffles, and then Christmas cookies.
Yeah, what kind of Christmas cookie? The sugar cookie with the frosting?
I'm thinking gingerbread.
Yeah, snickerdoodle,
or snickerdoodle. Snickerdoodle will probably be okay too. Yeah, so it's weird. They give a really weird food pairing for this. I don't,
I don't know. Maybe one of these days we'll have to try a bacon wrap date and see ooh, the savoriness of the bacon and saltiness pairs well with the.
And you know what? Then you got to get another bottle of this and try it out. You know what? We made fun of them, but Rogue was right. It's perfect.
It's just that just gets my blood boiling just thinking about it.
That's one thing that we should do.
Yeah, just
we should do to change up the show now that we've done
Do food
so
pairings
many
with it?
so many beers now. And like we're gonna start doing food pairings with it. Just random things like Santa's Private Reserve and a tuna. A tuna steak.
So how would you we'll pair this then with what we had for dinner tonight. How would you pair this with your General Tso's and pork fried rice?
Actually, to be honest
and
with
my
you,
garlic chicken.
I feel like this would actually go pretty well with General Tso's because the General Tso's that I had tonight was fairly spicy, and the beer that I had with it, which was the Founders Brute IPA, was just heightening that spice. It was really giving me some fiery tongue and indigestion.
Yeah, no, it was wasn't it the garlic chicken's usually got like some spice to it, but not super spicy. But as soon as I was taking sips of that brewed IPA, like it was making like the back of my throat.
I tend to find that IPAs, because of the hop content, they tend to heighten a spice flavor. So I think something like this, a dark ale, would be sort of like your milk that would kind of wash your palate out. So it probably would go pretty well, actually, I would say. I don't know about maple General Tso's, but it's kind of weird. But it probably would be better than the Brute IPA that we had, which...
Before you know it, over time, the show, we're just going to stop reviewing movies, and it's going to be like culinary arts. Like,
yeah.
Today we're doing...
If people would send us packs of beer, then we just do that. Just send us all your local beers, and we'll do that.
Today we got
instead.
some lovely cuts of bison from.
Ooh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, send us some random meats.
Well, we're gonna have to start getting get ourselves a sponsorship from Omaha Steaks.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Omaha Steaks. I want
get
sponsorship
on that
from Steakums. That's probably pretty easy to get, I would think.
Don't like Steakums.
Steakums.
That's the everyman's Philly sandwich.
Hungry Man TV dinners. Still not enough for me. I need 2 of them.
Really? They're like 2-pound boxes now.
I know. I'm just kidding. I actually haven't had a Hungry Man in forever.
Neither have I.
I have a wife now. I don't need that shit. She makes me dinner. All right, back to the film, The Fly, 1958.
Oh, not Cronenberg's?
Not Cronenberg's. We already did that one. You can go listen to that. That was like episode 86. I made that number up, but it was somewhere around there. So The Fly, 1958, like we said, is in color. It's a film that I actually was surprised about, that it does open up with like the ending, basically the conclusion of the film, the murder itself. At the beginning of the film, and the murder is pretty gruesome for a 1958 film. It's
kind of surprising because it's not a Hammer film.
Yeah, right.
So like that, you know.
I mean, it's on the earlier side of like films that would have been more grisly, for sure. And it has that first look at the press. It's like a hydraulic press that's has a body smushed underneath it, and it's
with blood splatter.
Blood's all out there. And it's the hydraulic press is meant to press 50 tons, and it's
is kind of surprising that it didn't push all his fucking innards and right out his ass.
The gore is not super realistic because there would probably be nothing left.
They probably should have had Vincent Price bring that up, like, it's designed to press 50 tons down,
Yeah,
50 tons of force.
Just the hydraulic press alone is sort of overkill.
Which I don't understand. So what's that press even used for? Because at first
pressing
I thought
metal.
Because at first I thought it was like, what is he, like a newspaper man? Like, I got these, run the press.
Right, yeah, run the presses. No, I think it's he said something about pressing metal, and that if they had it set the setting to press directly to the whatever they call it, the bottom slab, and he said that if they were pressed that much, it would completely disintegrate the metal that they're pressing.
They own like an electronics factory, but I mean, like, just like from the way the setup is, like the factory one looks so small, like it's just basically one press, and it's like, so like, what are you doing? I don't know.
I think it's meant to press metal. Whatever, they don't really go into it, but it's meant to press metal. And so the question that the film starts with is like, who murdered this guy? Who murdered this prominent scientist, Andre, and a scientist and also a brother of Vincent Price.
Francois.
Francois. And the other thing is that's kind of weird about this film, this American film, is that it takes place in Montreal.
Which at first I thought was like in just regular gay Paris, you know.
It's kind of interesting. I don't know.
They didn't exactly mention.
Yeah.
I thought when like they were talking, like doing that whole talking about like watching, you know, and no one would believe that 40 years ago you could be sitting in Montreal and watch the World Series, you know. But we got TV now.
I don't particularly know why it was set in Montreal.
Maybe that's what the short story was?
I guess, yeah, maybe. I don't know. There's no real, you know, it doesn't matter. It's just that for American audiences watching, and everybody's got French names like Helene and Philippe.
So funny.
Francois.
Like it is funny that like you couldn't bother to change the name to Helen and Frank and
Philip. And
poor Emma.
Yeah.
Got a regular name.
Yeah, well, that's because she's not foreign. Or she is foreign, I mean. She's American. Must be. Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. I don't really get the Montreal setting, but they don't really go into it. I guess it doesn't matter.
I was also thinking it was like in France, too, because when the inspectors pulled up, they had the European sirens. And I don't think in Canada they do. They have like the... You know.
I don't know. Maybe in Montreal they do.
Which I do prefer that siren over the American. You know, woo! I like that.
Yeah.
It's classy.
Yeah. So we have a different podcast for that. It's called Klaxons.
Know your sirens.
Yeah. Know your klaxon.
Just word of the day.
Yeah, klaxon.
Way to start 2020.
That's right.
Breaking it out.
So Vincent Price is roped into this as an inspector who goes and checks out.
Well, he's not an inspector.
They call him inspector. Don't they call him like an inspector though?
Francois?
Yeah.
No. He and Andre are co-owners of the...
I thought they were calling him inspector at one point though.
No, he's not. He was calling the inspector.
It must be he was calling the inspector. I thought they were calling him inspector.
No, with that fortune, because he's like, I have so much money. We don't
I know.
And his fancy cigar jackets and he's like dressed to the nines. He's like, Helen, it's 12, it's past midnight. I'm terribly tired. As he's dressed in this lovely silk cigar, you know,
smoking jacket
and tie. Like, what do you mean? It's midnight. You're still dressed like with like cufflinks and everything. Yeah. Like, when I go to bed, I have to make sure that, you know, I look dashing and dapper.
You never know when you're going to die in your sleep, and you have to, like, no one's going to change you. So
before you go to bed, you're
like, bury him in that.
You're like, is my handkerchief properly tucked? Okay, good.
You wake up and you're mortified to find that. Well,
that way, if you're dressed nice, that way, if you do die in your sleep, you don't have to go through the indignity of being stripped. You're already dressed nice, so like, no one's gonna see my ball sack.
No one's gonna see your small peepee.
Yeah,
they don't know.
That's a no-no in the 50s. You know,
no autopsy.
You know, nothing. Just he's good to go.
No one will know I'm missing a testicle. Not that Vincent Price was. He's all man in this. His nice coiffed mustache.
His testicles have always been stored up in the mustache.
That's right. You know, in The Fly, Vincent Price really gets a chance to be like sort of a straight man in this one. He's not, he's not a sinister character. More so on the outskirts of the film's plot because he doesn't have a whole lot to do throughout the middle portion of the movie. No,
it's mainly the first quarter and like the last 10 he's around.
Which is, it's kind of interesting to see him because I feel like The Fly is not his best portrayal of acting in this film. Because a lot of times he's meant to act surprised and like sort of astonished. And he doesn't, I don't feel like that comes across as well in this movie.
I think it has more to do with just the, excuse me, the era. Because like there's like little lines like in between like dialogue sections between like him and like the inspector or like just other characters in general, and it's that very 50s noir style, like you know, of like at first I thought you were the killer, Francois. No, I was not the killer. How could I be the killer? Do you love her? Yes, I do madly love her. I knew you loved her.
Yeah.
Yes. So I thought you were a killer. Oh yes. Yeah. But I never would do such a thing to my brother. Why? Because she only loved him and not me. Never recognized me. I know. It's just like, you know, that very quick, you know, I think it's, I guess, depending on your take, you could say, yeah, that's not great acting. But again, that's kind of just like more, par for the course. Because Andre speaks like that the entire time, too,
It's true, yeah.
They all like had that same kind of straight, quick cadence of I'm
pinpointing the beginning of the film where he's looking at the hydraulic press. He's supposed to be sort of like aghast at seeing his brother on the hydraulic press. And I just feel like his reactions aren't great to that.
Well, because you have Helen to be constantly throughout the film fainting and being mortified. Like,
the female hysteria.
With the vapors 50s. And all. Just
Yeah. Yeah, Helene is definitely a stereotypical woman of the 50s. It's really funny when she's telling the story with her and Andre and he's in the lab and he's really excited about his teleportation device, and he's showing her, and it doesn't work correctly, and the bowl that he teleports has "Made in Japan" backwards on it, and then he sets to work again, and she's just standing there like, Andre, and he's totally ignoring her. It was like, fuck off, Helene, I'm working, you need to go and have Emma make the dinner or whatever you do, go deal with Philippe again, because he's being a
little shit.
Yeah, he's being a little shit out there. That's pretty funny. Like, there are a few of those scenes where you definitely feel the 50s stereotype of like cold, what women should be. Yeah,
just like the overall coldness of same thing. Like when afterwards, she's like, "Oh, Andre, all this technology, TVs, rockets, radios, Earth satellite.
It's so overwhelming.
It's so overwhelming. Everything's going so fast."
Women have peanut brains.
Which I can, to be fair, not just her, but I can, if you were somebody who's growing up through the 40s and the 50s, and all of a sudden,
that'd be pretty surprising.
But at the same time, if you think about it, it's been 20 years since 2000. We've gone from 56K modem to you can, storing shit on a floppy disk that's holding kilobytes to. If you don't have a computer that's got 2 terabytes now, you're like, what are you, stupid?
Yeah. Well, the film does that throughout too, especially with other characters for Helene. They're at the beginning, they don't believe that Helene could have committed the murder because they're like, she doesn't know how to work this press. Are you kidding me?
She's a woman.
A woman knows how to work a press? No way. She couldn't have done it. The film does have some of those things where it's just like, women? They do things?
But all having a nice laugh about it.
Yeah. Also that, and then...
It would have been funny at the end, we found the man who did this crime. I just told you I did it. No.
No, it's this guy. Yeah, he's some homeless man. Yeah, and then also
and then when they do say oh yeah, she didn't do it, insanity.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the other thing.
Pack her up.
Yeah, we're gonna say that she's just nuts. She's totally nuts. She went nuts after she saw Andre dead. She's nuts. She's gonna need care the rest of her life in the asylum. The film has some funny moments like that where certainly the time era is shining through. So one thing that I did notice that's I think on the better scale for this film is the reveal of Andre, where he has the fly appendage, where he's working in his laboratory and he's wearing a cloth over his head, almost like a executioner. He's just got and at some point it looks like he's like a lamp, just standing in the corner.
I just love the idea that it's not we don't see him oh fuck, gotta put it back on.
Yeah, right.
Just the idea that he's just sitting there in silence, hope we find that fly.
He's just sitting there with his cloth on his head, but there is that moment where he's sitting there and we see the cloth on his head. You can see his one hand because he's typing on the typewriter, but you don't see the other hand. And then he gets upset when Helene says something, and he whips around and he accidentally pulls out his fly hand. And that reveal is pretty good, actually. I think that works really well because it's not it's not like super choreographed or anything like that. It just sort of happens.
I like
You're
too
caught
that
off
he's
guard.
constantly like having to hold it like his fly hand down, like down boy. Down.
Yeah, sort of like Army of Darkness, like Ash holding his hand down.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
I think that reveal is pretty good. It just catches you off guard, especially like you're watching it. You don't really know what's going on for the first time. You're watching it as a fan in the 50s.
I will say, yeah, no, you're right. As much as I do like the whole backwards storytelling, I will say now that's been close to 70 years from this film coming out, 60, 70 years.
Right.
Even if you knew nothing about this film, and if you're like of a viewing age who is cognizant enough to piece things together, you know the name The Fly, you're gonna know right off the bat, oh, this like red herring noir mystery is gonna be nonsense and bullshit.
Right.
Like I can see how in the 50s, like how like intriguing and so on and so forth, and how it develops and being shocking. But right off the bat, now I think now it being so far now down the woods, it's not going to be surprising to anybody, really.
Yeah, I think there is that in the 50s. I feel like when we're watching it now, we know the storyline, but in the 50s, it does seem like a little bit they were trying to go for that sort of fake out of this is a murder mystery, what actually happened. Because
it's a lot very much like a murder mystery, but then there's like slight little quirks throughout the film, like hearing a fly buzzing around and all this like scientific stuff, and then
it actually brings up an interesting idea that I think would have worked for this movie is to instead of obviously you have the iconic scene at the end of the film of the white-haired fly that they see in the garden, and they find out that it's actually Andre. It's his head on a fly's body. It would have been interesting to just leave the story that Helene tells as is, and ask the audience to question like, did she really experience all of this fly stuff, or did she go crazy? And now she thinks her husband is a fly because she can't deal with it.
It would be cool, but I don't think back then storytelling was sophisticated enough. Because as we see at the end, you get your remember, kids, stay in school, stay away from drugs. Beat those commies.
Yeah, basically. You do get that like sort of PSA that Vincent Price delivers to Philly at the
search
end.
for the truth. Your father died because he was Icarus, flying high, and he wouldn't listen. He got too close to the sun. Find that truth, Philippe, but don't get too close to the sun.
And the ending actually kind of goes on a little too long. The film is a little scared to leave like a kind of a bad ending. You don't. It has to wrap everything up in sort of a happy bow.
Would you call that a happy bow?
I would call it
the Vincent Price and the cop sitting there looking at the help me, like just watching this giant fucking spider start to eat the fly, and then decide to go crack.
Let me smash that giant spider. I don't believe it. That's the fucking hugest spider I've ever seen.
I know you're right. That's not
a bird-eating spider. No, it's not a happy ending in that sense, right? So but also the film tends to treat this Andre the scientist as being like sort of an idiot. Like he shouldn't have done that. Yes, it's great to push the boundaries, but he shouldn't have gone that far for sure. So in that sense, like it kind of they don't really care so much what happens to Andre, but the ending has to wrap up the other stuff. Like what, if Helene and Philippe, they're gonna live happily ever after. They've got Francois. He's gonna come in. He's gonna slip his dick in.
He already said he's been in love with her.
He's gonna take a dip. And, they're going to live happily ever after. And he's got tons of money, too. Don't worry. They've all got tons of money. He already said they've got so much money, they don't know what to do with it.
She's got her family. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So they're going to live great. They're going to have a great, happy life. She's fine now. It's been 2 days since, Andre was pressed to death. His blood running all over the factory floor.
She accepted pretty quick that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she doesn't.
Even though that was a thing, even though up until like the end, he's sitting there writing these long, beautiful diatribs out.
I love you,
and this is what you need to do.
Yeah,
because that's where I think it's weird. Like I don't think, and this is where like kind of the logic doesn't make sense. They're trying to portray like Andre with the fly head is still Andre slowly turning it more into
a fly, right?
Whereas the fly's also got like Andre's head. That's
it doesn't. They don't really go into too much depth there. Because that means like his consciousness is in two different bodies.
Yeah.
Like he's in the Andre with the fly head. And
because if the fly's overriding Andre, so is Andre going to become a sentient fly?
Yeah. I don't know. They don't really go too far into that. But what I was saying about the bad ending that it doesn't want to leave is that it doesn't want to leave. It could perfectly well leave. They could see the fly and still not believe her, like because if they just saw the fly not up close with the white head, and they still not believe her, and then they come and cart her away and put her in a mental hospital. That would be a bad ending.
We could have her getting carted away, and then all of a sudden, like you see, like the fly into the room or
something like that, where you get like nothing ended happily there. Yeah. That would have been a cool ending too. But the film is sort of too scared to do that, so it doesn't leave off of that bad ending. It has to wrap everything up in a bow, happily ever after. They're all going to live, great lives and forget about this one thing that happened to their.
Helen develops severe alcoholism after this,
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, they could have potentially done a bad ending like that, but I just think that they were a little too scared to do that. Most audiences in that time would not have taken well to this like misanthropic ending.
Well, just imagine them ending with the ants winning.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Again, you gotta get that. You gotta get that PSA.
You gotta have that in the nice abrupt ending too, of just like this is don't be the curious cat. No. So that's interesting. I felt like there could be a sadder ending here.
I do love too. Before she starts to get carted away, the nurse wakes her up and she's like, I slept well. And then all of a sudden you see the ambulance and the inspector pull up
Yeah, and she's just like, why are you putting on my heavier nightgown or my heavier robe?
She's like, I want silk. And she's like,
don't put on my heavier robe. I'm not going out.
Which, by the way, apparently it's winter in Montreal.
Yeah.
What winter are they talking about?
And they've got a crack in their window.
It's like the sunniest, brightest, greenest.
Yeah.
Because she says earlier, like when she's like talking to Andre outside, when she's like, "You'll catch cold, not catch a cold, catch cold." She's like, "Oh, spring would be here soon." So they're not even.
So one thing about the film that I did pinpoint though is that most of the middle portion could be renamed Fly Hunt. Be like the FBI, the Fly Bureau investigators, where they're trying to find this white-haired fly, tasking Philippe with going out with his little butterfly net, catching a fly. Emma smacking flies on the wall, Helene flipping out. What are you doing, killing them? So there's a lot of that in the middle portion of the film. The other thing that they do is basically this is another film of reading letters, the movie, because there's a lot of typewriting letters where Helene has to react to typewritten letters. And it gets really annoying because
it's like a telegram. She pauses after like
she's reading a typewritten. It's like, Helene, I need your help. Andre, what's wrong? Fucking read the typewritten letter. He wrote it out for you, Helene. Read on. For everybody's sake, stop.
I love you dearly. If you understand, knock 3 times. Oh, Andre!
Yeah. I won't be able to speak or understand you, so don't talk to me. Yeah, it gets pretty annoying in the middle.
It would have been great if like Emma walked down like, Mrs. Shut the fuck
up. Yeah. So there's also that in the film. So the middle portion does run a little long because of those scenes where it adds.
Well, not only that, we get like even though they've been married for quite some time, it's like a whirlwind romance almost.
Yeah, like, it does feel like they're like maybe not like it feels like they're just getting together instead of being married. Because like they're doing this date and stuff like that, and they have champagne, and she's like, "Ooh, you know what? Maybe we can do something else tonight." And it's like,
and he's like, "Math equations." Or as I said, sleep in the same room.
Yeah, right. It's kind of weird. It doesn't feel like they're married, but maybe that was how people were husband and wife in the 50s. They were just like, Do you want to do something together today? Maybe. I don't know. I think I'm busy doing my own things.
Well, I was thinking about smoking my pipe and reading the newspaper, then whittling a new checkers set.
Or catching flies, as Philippe does in his spare time. I caught a nice fly today, Mommy. That's great, son. He's not going to school.
That's a good point. Why isn't he at school?
Yeah.
He's pretty smart when he's sitting there talking to Francois, and he's like, women, right? Hysterical.
Yeah.
Why is Mommy so hysterical? I know, women.
Yeah. Other than that, I
actually don't mind the middle part. I actually like getting to see Andre and him talking. I do sometimes think it goes into the cliche territory of nobler pursuits of science and searching for the truth and
right.
But that's kind of a staple of 50s sci-fi films. I think that
The Fly though is kind of interesting because it combines a couple things. It combines the radioactive films of the 50s. Which, this obviously doesn't have radioactivity in it, where there's giant insects or giant animals or anything. But it has that sort of idea to it. But then it also combines sort of like the mad scientist elements of 50s movies as well. And so it makes it into sort of a different style of film that,
I really enjoy his lab.
What's that?
I like the lab setup a lot. I think it's really cool.
We talked about that with the whole board of wires plugged into everything.
That was great when he's trying to figure out why the hell, when the plate transmitter is not perfect, and he's sitting there looking at the operating board with 500 different,
wires plugged into wires and all that shit.
And you pointed out that had to have been a bitch for the production guy sitting there
just plugging everything in. The other thing too is that he stands there looking at it for only a couple seconds, and he's like, "It
looks right.
Everything looks fine." I already know. I already know what's plugged into what.
Too, as the thing's getting transmitted, the tape recorders in the background, you see, tape machines spinning rapidly. What does that? What does that have to do with transporting matter?
One thing that
I do love too. I do love the fact that this idea that at this point we have the technology to emit different types of wavelengths and rays into space and relay them back, orbit around the Earth, but fucking transmitting matter from one spot to another. That's the bridge. That's
crazy.
That's the bridge too far.
I can't believe they've done that.
To be honest with you, that sounds more logical to me than fucking bouncing waves up into the sky, then bouncing them back and getting a signal into a TV to make pictures.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that I wonder is where did their fucking cat go?
What a terrible name that is.
What was the name again?
Delano? Delineo? DeLorean? Dolores?
I can't remember what it is. Delido? I remember what it was, but the cat, he puts the cat in with a bowl of milk, teleports the cat, and the cat goes nowhere, but you can hear him in the outside space meowing, and then for whatever reason, wherever the cat fucking goes, it disappears because it's never heard from again.
Well, because the atoms
apparently
just transmit out into space.
How would the atoms transmit into space, but the cat can meow?
Well, that's what I was going to say, too, because that's what bothered me, too. It's like, it didn't... Which one, I don't understand how it didn't join... The atoms didn't mingle with the atoms of the saucer.
That would have been hilarious if they did a special effect of just a cat head on a saucer. Bowl. But so the atoms got rejected and just thrown into space, so there's no vocal cord, so how's the... Maybe it's a spiritual thing, he's able to hear it's not actually a meow echoing. He's just hearing. What would have been better and darker would have been the cat just fucking meowing all the time throughout the laboratory scenes, just that's why cat. I'm going crazy. I won't shut the fuck up.
That's why he burned the lab down to the ground, because
the cat's just haunting the lab. It's perpetually hungry for atoms.
That's the other thing that doesn't make sense too, is how separate entities in the chamber getting teleported work.
That it just...
So if it's the other living beings, they join together, but if they're other inanimate objects, they may be fine, but if they're not, then your atoms won't mingle with those atoms, and you'll be bounced into space, forever floating away.
Right. Cronenberg understood that, which is why, Jeff Goldblum didn't teleport with his clothes on and stuff like that. Like, you didn't want to have any, thing mingle with your human cells.
Until you figure out the transportation.
Right. Yeah. This one doesn't really explain that. It's just like, you know what? I'm going to put a whole champagne bottle and a champagne bucket and all the ice in there, and it's perfect. Perfectly teleports.
I just like the idea too. No need for cars or anything. Just transport people. And it's like, you think about this highly scientific thing. You're gonna have Bob the operator man just dropped out of school and like, oh yeah, uh-oh.
Yeah, that would be a pretty fun movie of just like when the teleportation becomes a common thing that happens, and you have just all these mistakes that keep happening. You're like, we need to shut this down. No, but it works like 40% of the time.
You pointed out like it's like the asshole running the roller coaster ride at at the carnival. Like, yeah, obviously this doesn't look safe. Yeah, no, it's good.
You're like, the guy's getting in the booth, and he's like, I'm not in yet. Yeah, you're fine. Arms falls off. Yeah. Yeah, that would be great, yeah. Which is, I guess, why they had to destroy everything at the end. He was like, no, if I don't understand this process as a scientist, then...
At least with Star Trek, it's like, for transporting, it's, they lock onto your specific signal, and that way it transmits your atoms from one, and then recreate, from one end to the other, and totally recreates them.
Mm-hmm.
So at least there's it's actually like the transport's having to lock on to something specific to then reorganize your being.
That was his problem. That's why he didn't design. He didn't design a lock-on system.
I would say, even though technically, I guess, if from the smashing of the atoms and then regenerate them, you're basically being killed and cloned.
You're being cloned again. Yeah.
Which that in of itself is a whole philosophical quandary that I'd be that old, like, if Ghost in the Shell ever came to be with, like, computers and shit in your head, I'd be that old asshole who's like, yep, nope, nothing.
I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want it. That's how the deep state gets you.
Did we pretty much, I think I kind of touched on everything that I had wanted to say. Did we?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's it. No, we could talk about the music, but the music's not really doesn't really come up that much.
It does. It's just generic sweltering, like 50s, like everything's.
Yeah, I didn't really notice it in a matter that stood out to me.
No, because like I said, it's just your generic, like, Gone with the Wind-esque, like,
right. Symphonic, yeah. Classical score. And other than that, we talked about Vincent Price. I will say the guy that plays Andre is probably the best part of this. He is good, yeah. He's a good actor in this. I don't know. He doesn't get a lot of time, but he does.
I feel like he gets a lot. I feel like 2/3 of the film's. I mean, maybe I'm wrong in the timing, but it feels like 2/3 of the film is just dedicated to
Andre
and
doing
Helen, Philippe, and that.
I think what shines about him in his acting ability is that he gets a lot of time where he doesn't actually speak. He's just under a sheet, so he has to work with that and do sort of like acting with physical characteristics rather than speech. And I think he does a pretty good job with that. Like you said, like the gripping the hand, the fly hand, and like sort of fighting with that. He does a pretty good job.
I do think they did a good job too with the effects. The fly head itself is pretty cool looking.
It's certainly good. It has like sort of moving parts to it too, which is good to see in the 50s like that. It's
and you get
sort
that
of
nice
intricate
shot too of like the 100 fly eyes looking at Helen. You know, as she's screaming in terror after he wrote her a note saying, "Don't lose your nerve."
And then they wait a while for that reveal too, the head reveal. They don't do it too quickly. Where you know the information too
fast.
fast.
I do like, too, we see, like, him being able to type out coherent, thoughtful messages into, like, blurring thoughts, can't think.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good typewriter with one hand.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, zero mistakes.
I do like that, too, like, the shots of the typewriter, watching him, like, like, close up, watching him, pound away, and you see, like,
Yeah. Interesting shots, for sure.
Very artful.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's give The Fly from 1958 a rating. On a scale of 0 to 10.
Rolled up newspapers.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of those in here. All right, on a scale of 0 to 10, rolled up newspapers.
Why would you have in?
Huh?
Said, why would you have in mind?
I didn't have anything in mind, so. On a scale of 0 to 10, rolled up newspapers, what would you give The Fly?
From 1958?
From 1958.
Probably give it an 8. I definitely like Cronenberg's Fly more.
Predisposed to liking that more, though.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I think the body horror aspects really, add a lot more depth to the story.
Mm-hmm.
I think, as far as like a 50s like sci-fi film at the time, this is probably as deep as you're probably going to get. I think Vincent Price does an adequate job. I really like him. It's definitely, as you said, not his best work because I don't think it's just because he's playing the straight man. I think it's just because he's not the star of the film. He's just kind of a side character. I do think the idea is very interesting, very well executed. I do like this like noir style that they take to it and making it a murder mystery for the first half. I think the main thing that holds it down is annoying child and hysterical woman. I mean, she's not bad, but at the same time, like they have her fucking so much.
The stereotypes of the...
It becomes, very taxing. But overall, I think it's a very enjoyable film. No wonder why it's a classic. It's, one of the best things that you are going to see. That being said, though, if you haven't seen this film before, but you've seen Cronenberg's Fly, I think you're going to find Cronenberg's Fly to be better because it's a lot more depth to it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely takes this idea and then goes further with the science behind it.
Because with the science, too, but not only that, Andre is, like a mad scientist, but he's also got, like, noble purposes. But they're just your generic, like, 50s-esque, like, trying to better man because we're Americans. Even though they're not saying that, that's definitely what they're going for. Because we're America. We got advanced science, math.
Well, it's Canada.
Search for the truth type of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas with Cronenberg's Fly, Jeff Goldblum's doing it because he's an he's got the genius and wants to do it, but he also wants to make money. He's an egotistical prick, and wants to try to show that he's smarter than everybody. And from that, you get Jeff Goldblum's great smarmy being an asshole throughout, the film.
I would probably give The Fly from 1958 an 8 as well. I think it's a really good movie. Sometimes you watch classic movies and you're like, you can kind of see the interest of the time, but watching them now, they don't really hold your interest as much. The Fly, I don't really feel like that's a problem in this movie. The only thing that I think is maybe that certain elements to it go on a bit long. Like I think that like the ending of the film is a little long, like what they choose to show, like Vincent Price unnecessarily, they have to show him going upstairs to get the inspector and things like that. So to take a little bit of time that probably should have just been cut and edited out. But other than that, I think that the film really holds your attention throughout, partially because of the acting, also because of the interesting ideas behind it that, it's pushing science boundaries here in science fiction. Like I said, it does things a little bit different in 1958 from other films of the 50s that were set science fiction boundaries, like the radioactive films of the 50s. There's some of that here, and then there's some of the mad scientist elements that I think that pair really well together in this movie. And then, like you said, there's the red herring of maybe this is going to be a murder mystery if you didn't know what this film was about before you went to go see it. you might be thinking, is this one of those classic murder mysteries that Vincent Price would be a part of? And so it sort of starts off that way, and the way that they reverse it and sort of go into this backstory of the film, I think works really well. I think they did a good job with that because it sets an expectation and then sort of flips it for the viewer. So they did a good job with that. Other than that, it's an engaging film. And I think that it definitely has a lot of elements to it that stand out and make it a classic. From the cinematography, they did a really good job with that. And also some scenes that just really stand out, like that ending scene with the spider and, the human-headed fly. It's sort of, I think the one thing that makes it sort of uncanny is the head that they put on the fly, because it looks, sort of like, almost like he has like cancer. Sort of, they give him that like balded headed look and stuff like that. That sort of makes it look a little uncanny. So not only is it just his head on a fly, but it's also sort of like a sickly head on a fly, which makes it a little bit even more spooky. So that's definitely just a standout element of this movie.
And that's the biggest goddamn spider you'll ever see.
That's right.
Those parts of Canada.
Yep, that spider. It's huge.
I love it too. It's like that spider web's attached right to the freaking bench, and everyone's like, "Look at that giant spider!"
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a fucking big spider because he takes it's like a, I don't know,
practically a
3-foot rock. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and just smashes it. So like I said, it's like a mongoose sized spider, something like that.
So you need to kill it as a fucking mongoose.
Yeah, that's right. Stick the mongoose on it. So yeah, The Fly, 1958. It's really fun. It's surprising. It's nice to revisit this movie. So I haven't seen it in like literally 20 years, and I'm glad that it holds up as well as it does on a rewatch. Now I have to watch the sequels, Return of the Fly and Curse of the Fly, because I've never seen those, and I'm curious what they do with those.
Good news, everyone. We found Andre's research.
Yeah. And I'm going to do it again. It'll be different this time. I'll have to check those out because I'm curious to see what they do with those and how they carry it on and also make another guy turn into a fly. Like he makes the same mistakes, literally the same mistakes. All right. So that's it for our episode on The Fly. I don't know what we're going to do next time. Probably be back in 2 weeks. Any ideas on what you want to do?
I don't know.
We had been talking about maybe doing the Noah Baumbach movie Marriage Story that's on Netflix. Are you interested in that?
Of course.
I know Sarah just watched it. She liked it.
See Adam Driver's great range. I constantly see all the time the one scene on my Facebook videos of him and ScarJo having their big fight.
Oh, yeah.
And he's talking about how he could have fucked everybody in his 20s, but he didn't. Because he was a ScarJo.
I'm interested in it. I think we should do that. Maybe we could probably do it next week or in the next episode, 2 weeks. Not really. It's a little bit different from something that we cover, but I'm interested. We've never done the Squid and the Whale either.
Because we haven't had Jeff Daniels month.
That's right. The Noah Baumbach movie that really started us on our love of Noah Baumbach.
It was his first film. He did co-write Steve's Life Aquatic with.
Yep.
Which is kind of funny because there's nothing really too much about it that would make you think Noah Baumbach, I can't speak right now. Noah Baumbach, co-wrote that with him because it's still very Wes Anderson,
right.
style, and the same thing with the writing style. Mm-hmm. But then again, Noah Baumbach's style is very, much akin to it. So
yeah, it's very similar. Yeah, just more stylistically, direction-wise, is a little different. So yeah, we'll probably do Marriage Story. The other thing,
you don't want to review The Witcher?
Yeah, the whole series, all 10 hours of it.
I think there's only 8 episodes.
Or is there? I don't know. I haven't watched it yet.
Neither have I.
I have
it's been signed on for 7 seasons already. So
what's that?
I guess it's been signed up for 7 seasons. So
Jesus Christ, that's fucking ridiculous.
Henry Cavill, you're not going to have to.
That's ridiculous.
See him ever as Superman again.
Getting a show signed up for a specific amount of seasons is just killing a show, honestly, because who knows that you have...
Well, they better have a show run out then for 7 seasons.
Yeah, that's what I would hope, because otherwise, I hate when shows are like, yeah, we're expecting, we're going to do 9 seasons. If let see how it plays out.
I think the only one that can get away, the only person that can get away with it is Vince Gilligan, because everything's so
right.
Seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have it planned out, where you're like, yep, this is here's the arc, here's the arc, here's the arc, here's the arc, 6 seasons, I'm fine with it, because and Vince Gilligan, I trust, knows exactly where he's going with it. With Better Call Saul, you can certainly see that he's got the pivoting areas of
everything
where it's going.
Out,
yeah, exactly. It's mapped. Whereas I feel like when you have a hit like that, just was a random hit like The Witcher, they're just like, yeah, we're gonna get 7 seasons out of it. Let's just sign it up for 7 seasons. There
is a lot of stuff with The Witcher they could do.
Yeah, there's lore, but
but I mean at the same time,
yeah.
Because I was asking a buddy, like, so what do they? I was asking Matt, I was like, so what do they cover? And he's like, oh, like one of the episodes is literally the opening to the Witcher 1 game where he's fighting Striga. Mm-hmm. That's the entire episode. Episode. I'm like, oh, that's cool, but I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot for them to cover, but at the same time,
yeah, I am. When they say stuff like that, 7 seasons for this show that just happened to be a hit for the season, I get a little concerned, that they haven't planned out, and they're just like, this is a moneymaker. Take
the Larry David approach. Take 5 seasons, 5 years in between, like your seasons.
Yeah, I much rather have it just be organic. Like, this is where we're going, and then we're gonna end it where we think it should end.
Yeah. That's like I say. That's because you think about it, Curb gets 10 seasons debuts, I think, this week. Mm-hmm. It's been on air for 20 years now.
Yeah,
Larry David's like
time with it. Has he got ideas?
He's just like, I'll do it when I feel like doing it.
What? He's like, what? Now I'm pissed off at iPhone 12, so I'm gonna do an episode on that one. So it takes him a while to figure out what he's pissed off at. Do episodes about it, but yeah. So I still have The Witcher to watch. I still have El Camino to watch too. So I haven't. I'm a little behind on stuff like that. Also the other thing that's out just came out, which sounds interesting, is a new Dracula show on Netflix by the makers of Sherlock. So it's a 3-episode, hour and a half each episode, sort of mini-series.
It's not the Castlevania anime?
No, that's coming back for season 3, though, too.
Which that was the dumbest thing, too. I haven't seen it yet. I don't know if it's good or not, but 4 episodes, 20-minute long episodes, that was your
first season. Yeah, I know. I watched the first season. I haven't watched the second season.
Come on, it's not 1985 anymore. You're pumping out an OVA.
I don't know why they did that. The 4 episode thing like that. That was weird. All right, so we'll do Marriage Story in 2 weeks, and then we'll see where it goes from there. We've got ideas. We'll figure it out.
Before you know it, we'll be doing another Leprechaun film.
Honestly, I was just thinking that. I was like, that's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
What do we, Leprechauns? No, we did Leprechaun Space, so we're going to the hood.
We're in the hood. I have seen Leprechaun in the Hood, and it's not good. It's not good.
I just love the fact that he goes to space before he goes to the hood. Because when you think about when a series is bankrupt on ideas, take it to space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun one for sure. Leprechaun in the Hood. All right, so like I said, Marriage Story next, and then next episode 2 weeks. Other than that, thanks for listening. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, pretty much any podcasting app that you use, we're on it. So subscribe to us, leave us a nice review. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/Blood and Black Rum Podcast. Also have a Twitter at Blood and Black Rum. We have an email at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. You can write to us, let us know what you think of the show, if you want us to change anything, have any recommendations for films to cover. And then we also have a Patreon page where you can donate to us. It's patreon.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. If you want to help support the show, you can donate as much or as little as you want. Anything that you can do helps us out. We really appreciate it. We're probably going to upgrade some equipment here in the near future. I think I'm going to get a new microphone at some point. Also, we're going to get swivelly mic stands, so that should be fun as well. We'll have fun with that. You might not hear any more of this, like the table hitting that we do sometimes when we set our beers down or anything like that. So we're going to do some upgrading, hopefully, in the near future.
It just makes the episode better.
I also got a green screen, so maybe we'll do some live shows with fucking backgrounds behind us. Maybe we'll do like a nice snowy cabin one time, and we'll do, we're at the Grand Canyon one time. We'll do all that shit. Do a live podcast episode for our 200th episode. We'll see. 200th episode is in a while, so we have a little bit of time to deal with that. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks, most likely with Marriage Story. Sorry for the delay on this episode, but we hope you enjoyed our episode on the fly. So thanks a lot.
Take care.